Hello, all of you. In today's class, we are going to learn one more ratio, that is operating profit ratio. So, we have covered gross profit ratio, we have covered operating ratio, and now next is operating profit ratio. So, this ratio, that is operating profit ratio, it establishes the relationship between operating profit and revenue from operation, because formula for operating profit is operating profit into 100 divided by revenue from operation, and we'll be getting in the form of percentage as into 100 is there. So here you have to see that in numerator, the term used is operating profit, not net profit. So we must know that what is operating profit and what is net profit, and how operating profit differs from the net profit. Now see what is actually operating profit and how it is calculated. So operating profit is equal to gross profit minus other operating expenses plus other operating incomes. That means we used to get gross profit in which account? Trading account. And from profit and loss account only operating expenses and operating income will be adjusted in gross profit. Non-operating will not be adjusted. That's why term is they are called operating profit. That means from gross profit, those expenses which are recurring in nature, which are the business regular expenses, they will be deducted, and those income which are incidental to business only they will be added. Okay, so now see what are the examples of operating expenses. So operating expenses includes the following. What are they? Employee benefit expenses, depreciation, amortization also, because depreciation is meant for tangible assets and amortization meant for intangible assets. Then office and administrative expenses, selling and distribution expenses, discount allowed, bad debts, interest on short-term loans paid. So these are the main operating expenses, and these expenses you are supposed to memorize. What are they? Employee benefit expense, depreciation and amortization, office and administrative expenses, selling and distribution expenses, discount allowed, bad debts, interest on short term loan. And other operating income includes two things: commission received and discount received. So, for the calculation of operating profit, in gross profit, we will deduct other operating expenses and we will add other operating income. And the profit that will be derived from this formula will be termed as operating profit, because you have to keep in mind that apart from operating expenses, there are some non operating expenses also. Apart from operating income, there are some non-operating income also, but non-operating expenses, non-operating income are not supposed to be adjusted in gross profit for the calculation of operating profit. Okay, now next is, as we are knowing that operating profit is derived at by deducting all other operating expenses from gross profit. So examples: employee benefit expense, depreciation, office and administration expenses, selling and distribution expenses, discount, bad debts, interest on short-term loan, etc. Now next we must know what actually non-operating expenses means also. So these non-operating expenses, they are not incidental to the business. Business say actual expense nahi, because expenses means what? If you go for the definition of expenses, it is a cost incurred for earning revenue. वो खर्चे जो कि रेवेन्यू अर्न करने के लिए किए जाते हैं, उसको एक्सपेंस कहा जाता है. बट दोज एक्सपेंसेस विच आर incurred but purpose is not to earn revenue, they are termed as non-operating expenses. They are non-recurring in nature. They are not incidental to business. बिजनेस का एक्चुअल एक्सपेंस नहीं है वो. एक्चुअल कहने का मतलब क्या है कि हम ये एक्सपेंस जब करते हैं तो ये रेवेन्यू को कहीं भी नहीं बढ़ाता है. इट डजेंट हैव एनी इम्पैक्ट ऑन द रेवेन्यू. सेल के ऊपर कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं है. ओके, so that's why they are termed as non-operating expenses. And examples are loss on the sale of non-current assets or fixed assets, loss from fire, income tax, charities and donations, finance charges related to interest on long-term debts and interest on debentures. This you have to keep in mind that interest which is paid on short term loans, they are considered as operating expenses, but interest which are paid on long term debts and debentures, they are not considered as operating expenses. They are the part of non operating expenses. So what are the non operating expenses? Loss on sale of non current assets, loss from fire, income tax, charities, donations, finance charges related to interest on long term debts and interest on debentures. So these are the part of non operating expenses, and they are not supposed to be deducted from gross profit for the purpose of calculation of operating profit. Then next is non-operating income. So non-operating income, they include profit on sale of non-current assets and income from investment. So these are the part of non-operating income. Profit on sale of fixed assets or non-current assets and income from investment. So they are not supposed to be added to gross profit for the purpose of calculation of operating profit. But in case in the question the term net profit is given, if net profit is given, so whenever the term net profit is given, it means that in this net profit, operating expenses, non operating expenses have been deducted and non operating incomes have been added. कि अगर net profit दे दिया है तो नेट प्रॉफिट दे दिया, इसका मतलब ये है कि ये जो नेट प्रॉफिट है ये ऑपरेटिंग एज वेल एज नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज़ एडजस्ट करके आ रहा है. लेकिन चूंकि हमको ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट ही निकालना है, नॉन ऑपरेटिंग हमको नहीं निकालना है, तो इन केस अगर नॉन ऑपरेटिंग इसमें एडजस्ट हो चुका है, तो नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एडजस्ट होने का मतलब क्या है कि इसमें अगर नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस अगर घट चुका है और नॉन ऑपरेटिंग इनकम अगर ऐड हो चुका है, तो फॉर कैलकुलेशन ऑफ ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट व्हाट वी विल डू, फ्रॉम नेट प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स वी विल ऐड नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंसेस एंड वी विल डिडक्ट नॉन ऑपरेटिंग इनकम टू अराइव्ड एट ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट. क्योंकि ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट में नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस माइनस नहीं होने चाहिए और नॉन ऑपरेटिंग इनकम ऐड नहीं होना चाहिए. लेकिन अगर नेट प्रॉफिट दे दिया है क्वेश्चन में, अगर नेट प्रॉफिट, तो नेट प्रॉफिट में क्या होता है कि नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस, ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस तो घटता ही है, उसके साथ साथ नॉन ऑपरेटिंग भी घट जाता है और ऑपरेटिंग इनकम तो जुड़ता ही है लेकिन साथ साथ नॉन ऑपरेटिंग इनकम भी जुड़ जाता है. तो इसलिए ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट निकालने के लिए नॉन ऑपरेटिंग का जो एडजस्टमेंट पहले हो चुका है उसको हटाना पड़ता है. तो कैसे हटाना पड़ेगा? जो नॉन ऑपरेटिंग माइनस हो चुका है उसको वापस ऐड करना पड़ेगा और जो नॉन ऑपरेटिंग ऐड हो चुका है उसको वापस माइनस करना पड़ेगा. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी गेटिंग दिस फॉर्मूला कि ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट इज इक्वल टू नेट प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स प्लस नॉन ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंसेस ऑब्लिक लॉसेस माइनस नॉन ऑपरेटिंग इनकम. So in case net profit is given, this is your formula for the calculation of operating profit.